Well, I was in Manhattan, in New York, visiting some friends, and I'd been going to different antique stores. I happened in Lillian Nassau's, saw this nice mosaic sitting on the floor with a no for sale sign on it. So I asked her if she would be willing to sell it, and she didn't sound like she would be interested in selling it. So I looked around a while and then went on somewhere else and came back 2 days later and asked her again. So after I think it was the fourth time,
wow,
she had decided that she'd sell it.
While Tiffany is celebrated for his Favril glass and leaded lamps, his mosaic department, active primarily from the 1890s through the 1910s, created some of the most exquisite and technically sophisticated decorative objects of the American Gilded Age. The mosaic department produced architectural installations for churches, mansions, and public buildings, as well as tabletop panels, frames, and plaques. What's particularly interesting about this mosaic is that, based on its appearance, it closely resembles the work Tiffany Studios created for Marshall Field's department store, one of America's most prestigious retail institutions of the Gilded Age. These mosaics often depict zodiac signs and animals, and in the example displayed here, we can see hand-cut pieces of Favril glass in rich, jewel-like colors, such as gold, cobalt, emerald, ruby, and opalescent white. Each tessera catches the light at different angles, creating a shimmering, luminous effect. Tiffany mosaic panels are highly valued today, especially those featuring strong figural or floral motifs.
And they're just little fragments of things. But this is a full composition, very charming with the frog. In fact, I'm not sure I've seen another frog depicted in a mosaic. Wow. Now, it's in a bronze frame, not signed, but that's typical. You paid a pretty retail.
I know, I'm curious if I overpaid.
Well, at the time it was a strong retail price, but in today's market, this could sell in a retail venue for between $100,000 and $150,000.
Flabbergasted. Unbelievable. Speechless. Whew. Wow.
My aunt started buying up these vases from Tiffany's, so I guess she ordered some by the crate load.
It actually says Louis C. Tiffany Studios with an address. The crate in itself, it's something you don't see very often, with glass plastered all over the sides. But I also want to point out the straw, because it's not often that people keep the shipping crates. The first piece of glass over here, which is what we would call pastel glass.
At the turn of the century, Tiffany Studios was producing an extraordinary variety of art glass vases. So special, in fact, that many were shipped in custom-built wooden crates made specifically to protect these fragile works on their journey to clients and galleries. These vases were crafted at Tiffany's furnaces in Corona, Queens, where Louis Comfort Tiffany and his artisans pushed glassmaking into bold new territory. Techniques like Favril, Cypriot, Tel El Amarna, Agate, and other iridescent styles defined the studio's output and helped shape the language of American Art Nouveau glass. Each vase was hand-blown in Tiffany's signature Favril glass, prized for its shimmering iridescence and naturalistic color shifts. Their forms drew inspiration from the botanical world: flowers, seed pods, curling vines, and organic silhouettes. You can see that influence clearly in the examples here. One vase opens into a wide, flaring mouth like a blossoming flower, while another features floral decoration worked directly into the glass itself. For collectors and museums, these vase and crate pairings are true treasures, historical, complete, and incredibly hard to find. Among this group is a particularly rare standout, a vase with a molten lava surface, a notoriously difficult technique that often caused pieces to crack during production. Surviving examples like this are exceptionally scarce.
It cracked in the making, and I did go over your lava with my special light and a magnifying glass, and I couldn't find any imperfections. An example like this in a retail shop could sell between $100,000 and $150,000.
Where's my brother? Wow. That's unbelievable. I had no idea.
They came out of a house that my father grew up in Wheeling, West Virginia. They were panels that were in the front door of their home.
John and Craig Ritchie were skilled glassworkers active during the mid to late 19th century, a pivotal era in the development of American glassmaking. They were associated with the Wheeling Flint Glass Works, one of the leading glass factories in Wheeling, West Virginia, an area that was rapidly becoming a major hub for both decorative and industrial glass production. The Ritchies are best known for producing pieces in the Lacy pattern, a style originally popularized through pressed glass window panes. The term Lacy refers to the intricate molded designs that imitate the delicate ornamental appearance of lace. In the example shown here, the glass was pressed into molds rather than blown or cut, a method widely used at the time for decorative household glass. This technique allowed artisans to create precise, repeatable patterns, making Lacy designs both visually appealing and relatively affordable for 19th century consumers. The finished piece is made from clear flint glass, featuring highly detailed floral relief motifs, crisp, elegant, and richly textured. Authentic antique Lacy pattern pieces attributed to John and Craig Ritchie are now quite collectible, and provenance plays a significant role in determining their value today.
Of the American Lacy glass.
Really?
And it's a pressed glass made to look like a cut glass. Oh. It even feels like a cut, but it's pressed into a mold. And recently, 2018, one panel came up for auction, and it sold for $3,200.
I am surprised. I'm very surprised.
One panel.
My goodness.
And we're talking about 3 here.
Wow. That's incredible. That's wonderful.
It is a spider shade. It looks like a spider web. It is stamped Tiffany Studios, New York.
This Tiffany Studios spider shade lamp was made around 1910, during a period when the company was at the height of its creative output and commercial success. This era saw a growing fascination with naturalistic motifs, dragonflies, wisteria, lilies, and poppies, and the spider shade embodies this trend perfectly. Unlike some of Tiffany's more elaborate floral lamps, the spider shade was produced as a smaller, moderately priced model, making it popular with middle-class buyers and ideal for libraries, studies, and den rooms. Each shade was handcrafted from individually cut pieces of opalescent Favril glass, while the bronze spider framework was cast and hand-patinated to achieve the rich brown or green surface characteristic of original Tiffany metalwork. Today, the spider shade lamp is highly prized for its striking silhouette, early 20th century craftsmanship, and evocative Art Nouveau style.
I would put an auction estimate of $25,000 to $35,000 on it. 25 to 35,000, yes.
Oh my goodness.
This is one of the better Tiffany lamps we've seen in a long time.
It's been in the family for a number of years. It was one of those things where all of a sudden no one wanted it anymore. People aren't really into snake motifs so much, and it had to fit into the right place. So decided it would be nice to have, and honestly don't know all that much about it.
Edgar Brandt studied at the École Nationale Supérieure des Arts Décoratifs and trained as a metalworker and sculptor. In the early 20th century, he established his own workshop in Paris, where he fused traditional forging techniques with modern design. He is best known for his sculptural composition La Tentation, which is French for the temptation, which exemplifies Brandt's approach of merging fine art with applied arts to create objects that are both functional and visually striking. In this lamp, the harmony of function and beauty is evident in the patinated bronze base, fashioned as a wild snake coiling around the shade. The shade, likely made by the Daum Glass Company, complements the metalwork with soft, ambient illumination, and, although many reproductions exist, this example is authentic and highly sought after by collectors.
So it's nice that the one you have is a real one.
All right, that's the good part, right?
That is the good part. And there's a better part.
Okay.
In terms of the value.
Yeah.
The condition on this is a little shaky. It has some problems here with this green. Bronze is mainly copper, so when it deteriorates, it turns this green. It's the reason the Statue of Liberty is green. In a gallery setting, you're talking about $35,000 to $45,000.
No kidding. Wow. That's incredible. So if you were to see one like this in like pristine condition, what is that then?
There was one at auction that brought $62,000.
Wow.
I was taking a walk in the morning, and I got about 4 houses down from where I live, and there was a sign that said free. And so I walked by it the first day, and then the second day I thought about it again, and I thought, well, I'll take this, and it's pretty ugly, but I can give it to somebody, but it's a lamp, so I'll just take it.
In the early 20th century, Louis Comfort Tiffany was already celebrated for his work in stained glass, lamps, favorile glass, and decorative objects. To meet growing demand, a formal corporate structure was established, Louis Comfort Tiffany Inc., as documented in corporate filings and marks on certain pieces. This entity worked alongside Tiffany Studios, which handled custom lamps, windows, and smaller decorative items. By this period, Tiffany was transitioning from the elaborate Art Nouveau style of his early lamps to designs influenced by late Art Deco and more streamlined modern aesthetics. A product of this transition is this lamp, featuring a gilded bronze base with enamel decoration around the foot, topped by a Damisine blown glass shade with exquisite iridescence on the exterior. Dating to around 1925, examples from this period are especially cherished for their historical significance as part of Tiffany Studios' final years.
This one is the caramel color. Something like this is very desirable because it's intact, and the shade is one of the better colors. This comes off.
Okay.
And then here,
Oh, yeah.
it says LCT
Oh,
Favril.
Okay.
And Favril meant to Tiffany, it was his trademark word for handmade. This is first. And then see, this covers it, which is nice because that covers the edge. In a retail venue, something like this could sell for between $10,000 and $15,000.
Oh my God.
You definitely want to get it rewired because there's absolutely no value in original wiring. And please don't ever transport it in one piece with the shade on like you did, because the bulk of the value is in this shade.
My dad was a general building contractor in San Francisco, and he was remodeling a home right after World War II, and this was headed for the dump.
Founded in 1905 by designer Harold Duffner and his business partner Edward H. Kimberly, the Duffner and Kimberly Company operated during a period when decorative lamps, particularly stained glass and bronze fixtures, were highly fashionable in American homes. The company specialized in high-quality electric lamps, including stained glass shades with floral and naturalistic motifs, bronze bases, and table and floor lamps reflecting Art Nouveau, arts and crafts, and early Art Deco influences. Duffner and Kimberly shades typically featured richly colored opalescent or cathedral glass panels, often layered and leaded for depth and complexity. Typical of the firm's craftsmanship, the shade on display demonstrates exceptional leading and glass quality with turned-in edges and a floral arrangement that harmonize beautifully. Inside the shade, it includes support elements not commonly found in leaded shades, making this example particularly rare and desirable.
We've not seen one of these on the roadshow. I would easily put an estimate of $8,000 to $12,000 on it for auction.
Really? Fantastic.
This belonged to my great aunt, and she ran an antique store in Colorado in the 40s and the 50s. When she passed away, her estate was settled, and my dad received this vase.
Émile Galle was not only a master craftsman, but also a scholar whose study of botany, philosophy, and natural science deeply informed his artistic vision. He exhibited widely and earned numerous international awards, with his work making a particularly strong impact at world exhibitions such as the 1889 Paris Exposition. Among his signature techniques was marquetry de verre, or glass marquetry, in which he inlaid decorative elements into the glass, conceptually similar to wood marquetry. In this vase, made around 1900, Galle used the technique to create delicate floral motifs and added enameled insects that enliven the surface of the vessel. Today, Galle marquetry vases are highly prized for their rarity, as pieces of this quality were painstakingly crafted and never produced on a large scale.
No, we didn't recognize that it was signed until today when we were holding it and waiting.
These things don't come on today's market very much. If this piece came up at auction today, because of the size and because of the rarity, this piece would probably bring anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
You know, that just almost leaves me breathless because I had no idea. I knew it had a value to it if it was actually Galle. I knew that, but never.
Back around the turn of the century, Marshall Fields put in a men's grill restaurant. And Mrs. Field was in charge of decorating it, and she contracted with Tiffany to put in a ceiling. Then about 1948, Fields remodeled the restaurant. Well, a friend of my in-laws was a carpenter on this job, and he asked if he could take some of the glass. Then 1968, he asked us if we wanted this glass. But he said, with the condition that we do not destroy it, and he gave us the history. Then about 3 years ago, I was going through Fields, and they had a display including that picture of the old men's grill.
Tiffany Studio's stained glass panels are some of the most celebrated works in American decorative art, created during the peak of the Art Nouveau movement under the vision of Louis Comfort Tiffany. These pieces, ranging from small decorative plaques to massive church windows, highlight Tiffany's unmatched command of color, texture, and glass-making innovation. Each panel was a team effort crafted by highly skilled artisans. Many were women from the famed Tiffany Girls, led by Clara Driscoll, who oversaw the women's glass cutting department. Their expertise played a major role in shaping the look and feel of Tiffany's best work. To achieve their signature effects, the studio used opalescent glass that blended multiple colors within a single sheet, along with confetti, drapery, and ripple glass to create a sense of depth and movement. Thanks to the copper foil technique, they were able to produce designs far more detailed and delicate than traditional leaded glass windows. All of these innovations meant Tiffany's windows didn't need painted embellishments. The glass itself created the imagery. That idea, letting the material do the storytelling, remains one of the defining hallmarks of Tiffany Studios.
But then I started to think about it more, and I realized that he was trying to adapt to the style of the great Chicago glassmakers and architecture, and it has more of a prairie-style feel. It's hard to put a value on something like this because it has great historical importance. But my feeling is that if the other panels are in the condition as yours is, although there are some cracks in it, I would estimate the total value of this collection at $35,000 to $45,000.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. It's just wonderful to see.
Oh,
and I
thank you
really
very
appreciate
much.
it. I really wanted to see some great stained glass in Chicago.
Well, this is a Pairpoint lamp that was brought into my family a long time ago. There are a couple of different stories as to how this lamp got into our family. I'm not really sure which one is true.
Pairpoint had already made a name for itself in the 1880s with fine silver and glassware, but the company truly hit its stride in the early 20th century when it introduced its richly colored, hand-painted glass lamps. The Puffy series, where this example comes from, launched around 1907 and quickly became Pairpoint's signature line. These lamps stand out thanks to their thick, reverse-molded glass shades that are literally puffed out into rounded reliefs. The designs, flowers, fruits, butterflies, landscapes, take on a soft, sculptural quality that feels almost alive when the lamp is lit. Each shade was blown, molded, and then hand-painted with enamel before being fired, so the colors fused permanently into the glass. When the lamp is turned on, those raised details glow with a warm, jewel-like radiance. On this particular puffy lamp, one side shows a charming scene with steps and urns, while another features an elegantly dressed 18th century couple. Mid-dance. Little moments that remind you why collectors love these pieces. Pairpoint completed the look with bronze or brass bases, often gilded bronze like the one here, designed in classical or Art Nouveau styles. Together, the base and shade form a unified sculptural object that easily held its own against competitors like Tiffany Studios and Handel. Today, puffy lamps from around 1905 are treasured for their craftsmanship, rarity, and unmistakably three-dimensional presence, making them some of the most desirable lighting pieces from the American Art Nouveau era.
18th century courting couple, dancing couple, a very appealing look for a shade of this type. And then we have on the sides and the top floral and striated decoration that's just gorgeous. This is actually a very rare form of shade. I think it's called aroma form, R-O-M-A. While the market for generic puffies is sort of slow right now, I think something for this level, the higher level, with all of the wonderful gilding and interior painting of it, I think the market is still very strong. Any idea for you what you have?
You know, I did some research, minimal research. I did find some puffy Pairpoints, and based on what I saw, it's something around $1,000, $5,000,
okay,
anywhere in that range, but I really have no idea.
Okay, actually the more generic puffies used to be fairly high. Okay. This one now is, again, is sort of more toward the top of the line puffies. I would say is basically at full retail for insurance, you could say $15,000.
Wow.
And that even might be a little low. You could really stretch it if you wanted to $20,000. The money is in the shade. So if you have a crack or a big damage in the shade, it's really the value goes just plummets.
This used to hang in my parents' home in Milwaukee on the east side. When my parents bought the house in 1965, it was there at the time. It hung in the house for the 40 years that my parents lived in it.
By the early 1890s, Louis' comfort Tiffany had begun turning his attention to domestic lighting, applying the same artistry and technical expertise he had honed in stained glass windows to table and desk lamps. In this early example, Tiffany's skill is evident in the twisted, silver-coated metal work that encircles the opalescent glass pieces around the lamp's midsection, mimicking the texture and flow of a rope. Above, a delicate arrangement of opalescent protruding tiles adds depth and visual interest, reflecting a design motif commonly seen in late 19th century mosaics. The lamp exudes a Moorish influence, demonstrating Tiffany's fascination with Orientalism, a stylistic curiosity that informed many of his creations. Remarkably, this late 19th century Tiffany lamp retains all of its original components, a rare survival that enhances both its historical and collector value.
Too.
It is.
Because even at this time, he was making gas fixtures.
Okay.
And sometimes they made fixtures that were piped for gas and electricity at the same time because they didn't trust the electricity. This period of his work is obscure. You don't see a lot of it. Most of it doesn't survive.
Wow, my heart is pounding.
Something like this, because you have all its parts, and even because I know you had said there were two pieces that came apart, even with that, with something that could be easily fixed, and this could be wired, again, for electricity, this would sell in a retail shop for between $15,000 and $20,000.
Wow. 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 I am so amazed.
Whew. I received this lamp as a gift from a friend of mine.
This is a Handel lamp, circa 1920.
What we have here is a lamp produced around 1907 by the Handel Company of Meriden, Connecticut, one of America's foremost makers of reverse-painted glass lighting. This technique combined finely crafted glass shades with richly detailed interior painting, creating a luminous, three-dimensional effect when lit. Founded in 1885 by Philip J. Handel, the company initially specialized in leaded glass, but reached its artistic peak after embracing reverse-painted decorative shades in the early 20th century. At the time this lamp was made, Handel's team of painters, including Henry Bedege, Carl Schmidt, and William Handel, were producing exquisitely atmospheric landscapes and floral scenes. Each design was applied in layers to the interior of the domed glass shade, producing a warm, glowing depth that set Handel's work apart from Tiffany's leaded glass lamps and Pairpoint's puffy shades. Today, Handel reverse-painted lamps are celebrated for their painterly quality, technical skill, and unique, immersive visual presence.
It was designed by a man named Henry Bedege. He worked for Handel for a very long time. We probably would put a value of $12,000 to $15,000 on it in a retail shop.
Very good. I'm very pleased.
I'm glad you brought it to Roadshow.
Well, we're not really sure what to call it, but it's colored sand in a jar. And it was presented to my great-grandfather around the end of the Civil War.
Andrew Clemens was an American folk artist famous for his astonishing sand bottles, those tiny glass vessels packed with carefully layered colored sand that come together to form incredibly detailed pictures. His work is extremely rare, highly collectible, and widely considered one of the true masterpieces of 19th century American folk art. What makes Clemens' process so mind-blowing is that he used absolutely no glue or modern tools. Everything you see was created with naturally colored or hand-dyed sand, poured grain by grain into small recycled glass bottles, usually clear ones. Using little funnels or even straws, he layered the sand with extraordinary patience, then compressed it with a wooden stick. He could even draw sideways inside the bottle, shaping the sand into crisp images and patterns like the one you see here. The bottles were sealed with wax or cork, but the real magic is that the sand holds together purely through compression and density. It's delicate, it's precise, and it's almost impossible to imagine someone doing this by hand more than a century ago. Today, Clemens' sand bottles are among the most desirable works in American folk art. When they appear at auction, which isn't often, they can easily reach 5 or even 6 figures, a testament to both their rarity and the unparalleled skill behind them.
A great big oversized fish hook and like a popsicle stick. And he would take the sand that he'd collect along the Mississippi River, and then he would pack it in this bottle and manipulate it with the fish hook. He gained national fame for making these, and today there's an exhibit on this guy at the Iowa State Museum.
Is that right?
It is a remarkable piece of folk art. On today's market, I would guess that it's between $4,000 and $6,000 is what we'd estimate. It might bring more than that in the right auction. Great piece.
It's great.
My husband's great-grandfather owned a jewelry store, and when he married, he took his wife on a wedding buying trip to New York City. And at one of the places, she saw these vases and admired them.
During the 1860s, 1870s, French glassmaking was undergoing a remarkable shift from traditional craft production to a new, more expressive artistic direction. Auguste Jean emerged as one of the leading innovators of this movement, helping transform decorative glass from simple utilitarian ware into bold, avant-garde works of art. Jean's participation in major international exhibitions, including the Exposition Universelle of 1867, brought wider attention to his experimental forms and techniques, solidifying his reputation across Europe. He was especially admired for his dramatic silhouettes, vessels with swollen, bulbous bodies, elongated, tapering necks, and striking asymmetrical contours, reflecting the period's fascination with naturalistic and exotic shapes. The 2 Auguste Jean vases shown here exemplify his embrace of Japanesque design, a European interpretation of Japanese aesthetics that swept through the decorative arts in the late 19th century. This style is characterized by asymmetrical arrangements, delicate botanical motifs, birds and insects, reeds, wave patterns, and the interplay of matte and glossy surface textures. Surviving vases from Jean's workshop are prized today for their rarity, sculptural presence, and the exceptional level of craftsmanship and ornamentation that defines his best work.
Exceedingly rare pieces. I'm so excited you brought these in today because this is the first time I've seen these in my hands. Love them. Any idea what the value is today?
I have no idea. I have loved them ever since they came to live in my house.
Yes. The value today at retail is between $3,000 and $5,000
for the pair.
For the pair. Thank you.
It's been passed down from my great-grandmother, who I believe purchased it, and to my grandmother, to my mother, and then my mother gave it to me before she passed away.
The Deux Figurines clock reflects René Lalique's late Art Deco period, a time when he had moved beyond jewelry and his early experimental glass to create more refined architectural decorative objects. Produced by his firm, Lalique, the clock combines clear and frosted glass with a metal clockwork insert, typically supplied by outside movement manufacturers of the era. Its design centers on two stylized female figures flanking a circular dial, an elegant expression of Lalique's fascination with idealized, elongated forms and the balanced symmetry that became a signature of his 1930s aesthetic. Because these clocks were produced in limited numbers, and many were later damaged due to the inherent fragility of the glass, surviving examples are particularly prized by collectors today.
Look that you would see during the Art Deco period, both in France or even in the United States. It does illuminate. The base actually has light bulbs in the base. When this is plugged in, both the clock and the lights come on at the same time. You have a little switch over there. That switch has been replaced. Okay. It probably had a thicker knob at one time. But this particular clock, I would say based on the bottom of it, or the platform, that this was not made in the 20s, but probably closer to 1935. The earlier bases were made out of gilt metal and they had a little decoration on them. And the later bases were chrome, which is what you see here. These hands, there was a question of whether or not they had been replaced.
Oh.
But what we realized is that if you see examples of this clock, oftentimes the hands vary from one to the next. The hands were made by a company called Atto, A-T-O, and they supplied the hands for Lalique, and so this could have just been a later version of the hands.
Oh, okay.
In terms of value, because there is some replacement here, but it is in very nice condition, I would put a value in a retail shop of $15,000 to $20,000.
Oh, very nice. That's great.
It's called 66 Signs of Neon. The artist is Noah Purifoy. He was an African-American who passed away a few years ago in a house fire in the high desert. But in 1965, there were the Watts riots in Los Angeles. It was a terrible, terrible time. And Noah lived and worked in Watts. Well, he was so distressed, he went and he gathered up the debris, and this debris, it consists of blood, metal, neon, and glass, and it's all fused together. And he made these sculptures, whatever you want to call them. He gave this one to my late husband, who at that time was the assistant director of the California Arts Commission. We got it in 1966, so I've had it now 50 years.
In the aftermath of the 1965 Watts Rebellion, Los Angeles artist and educator Noah Purifoy transformed the devastation into art. Rather than seeing the burned-out neighborhood as a scene of ruin, Purifoy regarded it as a raw archive of social and political reality. Together with collaborator Judson Powell, he collected debris, charred wood, twisted metal, melted signage, and fragments of everyday life, and transformed these materials into a groundbreaking series of assemblage sculptures. This piece is among the earliest from that period, often referred to simply as a Watts Riot sculpture, created directly from these found materials in 1965 to 1966. Purifoy conceived the series not as memorials, but as social documents, avant-garde art built from the literal remains of racial injustice, poverty, and urban neglect. Today, the Watts period sculptures are celebrated as some of Purifoy's most historically resonant works, powerful intersections of art, activism, and lived experience from one of Los Angeles' most turbulent moments.
The bottom of the sculpture, this is partly how we know that this isn't just a base. See the uneven cut?
Oh, yes.
I mean, to me, this is still a found object. I think he found this piece of wood and put this together with this charred remains from the riots.
This looks like it might be a little charring.
Exactly.
Here.
So he moved out here to the Mojave Desert, to the Joshua Tree area in the late 80s, and started what would be another very interesting period in his artistic career. And I don't know if you've been, but it's a 10-acre site where he brought in found objects, and it is a giant outdoor sculpture installation that's a very important part of California's artistic makeup now. To put Purifoy in the context of importance in African-American art, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art dedicated a solo show to him last summer in 2015, and it was so popular, it got extended.
My goodness.
The attendance was massive. Very little of his work has ever appeared on the open market.
Right.
I would advise insuring this for $125,000.
You're kidding me. Really? Really? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It's that important.
I don't have a stick of fine art insurance on this.
Well, I went to an antique show in Dallas, and across the room I hear, "I'm over here, Peggy," and there it was.
So it talked to you?
It talked to me, and it had a light under it on a stand, and I thought it was the most beautiful vase I had ever seen.
And did you buy it when you first saw it?
No, they said it wasn't for sale.
That's not nice.
No, I told them, I said, "What's it here for?"
So how did you get it?
Well, I said, "If you ever decide to sell it, would you call me?" And I gave them my name and phone number. I first saw it in the 70s. They called me, I bought it in 87, and they charged me $3,000.
So they kept you waiting a long time.
It was worth it.
By 1900, Daum Nancy had firmly established itself as a leader in French decorative glass. The studio participated in world fairs and exhibitions, earning international acclaim for its technical innovations and artistic designs. Founded in the late 19th century by Auguste and Antonin Daum, the studio became renowned for its pioneering glass techniques, particularly cased and cameo glass, in which layered glass is carved or etched to create detailed pictorial designs. Typical cameo glass motifs include floral scenes, trees, birds, and aquatic imagery, hallmarks of Art Nouveau's organic, flowing aesthetic. What makes this particular vase unusual is the engraved and gilded section on its base, featuring grasshoppers and other motifs inspired by Egyptian decoration, reflecting the Egyptian revival style popular around the time of its production. Today, Daum Nancy cameo glass vases are highly prized for their technical mastery, intricate artistry, and historical significance within the Art Nouveau movement.
It's the same thing. This whole design here is carved with acid, and on the bottom, instead of painting it, they actually gilded it. It's a nice technique. You can see the carving to the stems, and that's actually the glass, and then it's painted and fired again. So you really can't wash it off. When they fire it on, it's way up there. It's a couple thousand degrees. Do you have any idea what it's worth now?
No, it's worth a lot to me because I love it, so.
Well, besides being worth a lot to you, I would put a retail value of probably in the $15,000 range.
Great. That's great.
This was given to me by a dear friend and neighbor of mine some years ago. I don't really know a lot about it. It looks almost English to me, but I noticed there's a mark on the bottom that says Napoli, and that sounds Italian.
Renowned for its decorative and functional glassware, the Mint Washington Glass Company specialized in hand-blown, cased, and painted glass, often featuring vibrant colors and elaborate surface treatments. The company produced high-quality art glass for middle and upper-class American households, and its Napoli line reflects the era's fascination with European-inspired design. This Napoli-style jar, dating from the 1890s, was crafted using traditional glass-blowing techniques and accented with enamel or gilding to emphasize intricate patterns and floral motifs. Decorative elements include applied figures, a whimsical Palmer Cox brownie, a keystone cup, and a goose, while the handle is designed to resemble a tied twig. Intended as a biscuit or cookie jar, the piece seamlessly combined practical storage with the aesthetic appeal of a today. The Mint Washington Napoli biscuit jar is prized for its exceptional craftsmanship and is a quintessential example of late 19th century American art glass.
Which are so lovely. What's so interesting is you see the painted figures on the outside, but those are painted on the interior.
Oh,
it's
my
not on the
goodness.
surface, so you can only imagine how difficult it must have been.
Wow.
And then you have this beautiful gilt webbing, which is typical, and there's some pinched areas. It has a nice handle with a tied twig design. It's all in all in really remarkably good condition. The metal has tarnished somewhat, but actually if you saw the interior, that's probably what it looked like when it was brand new.
So it's gold-plated?
There is a trace of gold plating on it, very, very little, but yes, it was originally gold-plated. In terms of value, it's something like this at auction could easily bring between $4,000 and $6,000.
Oh my word! I had no idea. That's great. Thank you.
Well, I found out that it's a piece of French cameo made by Galle around the turn of the century.
This vase, created around the turn of the 20th century by Émile Galle, exemplifies the work of the French artist and designer who was a leading figure in the Art Nouveau movement. Galle, a pioneer of the École de Nancy, combined innovative glass techniques with naturalistic motifs drawn from plants, flowers, and landscapes. This piece belongs to his cameo series, in which layers of colored glass are carved or acid-etched to reveal intricate floral, botanical, or landscape designs. The rim is fitted with a silver mounting, offering both structural reinforcement and an elegant visual contrast, adding a touch of luxury. Today, silver-mounted Galle vases are highly prized for their exceptional craftsmanship, showcasing the harmonious artistry of both glass and metalwork.
If you look very, very closely, you can see that this was gilded at one time. For insurance, I would put this piece at $12,000.
I'm thrilled.
My grandfather bought it just for himself. He liked beautiful things, and he bought it at a jewelry store in Columbia, South Carolina in the early 1900s, maybe 1910, sort of.
Well, that's wonderful, right here in the area then.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Pairpoint was a leading American maker of art, glass lamps, and lighting fixtures in the early 20th century, competing with Tiffany Studios and Handel in the high-end market. The company's puffy style shade reflects a period when rounded, volumetric glass designs became popular, inspired by European Art Nouveau, but adapted to American tastes. These shades often feature floral patterns, geometric motifs, or abstract organic forms applied through painting, etching, or molding. In this example, the puffy shade is adorned with delicate floral designs, complemented by a base featuring equally intricate floral detailing. Although the market for Pairpoint lamps waned over the decades, these pieces have recently regained desirability due to their rarity, craftsmanship, and charm.
You know, the Pairpoint market dumped. It just dumped. However, a number of years ago, you would have found these in the thousands. Then they went down. It got so low that maybe they weren't even selling. But guess what you did?
What?
You held on.
I did.
You held on for this 8 and 10 years.
Right.
And I see many sales now where the market has come back.
That's wonderful.
And you are now in possibly an $8,000 to $10,000 retail market.
Oh, that's great.
So
That's
I think
excellent.
you did the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, this was belonged to my parents, and they got it from my dad's dad, and he got it from his mother.
Okay. Have you ever had it looked at professionally or appraised in any way?
It's just been in a closet for at least 40 years that I know of.
By 1920, Lalique had fully embraced the Art Deco style, moving away from the intricate floral motifs of Art Nouveau toward geometric forms and stylized natural imagery. The Escargot vase, designed in 1919, reflects this transitional period, blending modernist abstraction with detailed natural forms. It was likely intended for both decorative display and functional use. Vases from this era were often pressed or molded, allowing for precise, repeatable designs while preserving artisanal quality. This example features a stylized snail form with flowing organic lines and textured detailing that emphasize the subject's natural elegance. Looking inside the neck, the opalescent, milky interior contrasts beautifully with the exterior's warm yellow hue, a result of casing in which two layers of glass are fused into a single piece. Today, the Lalique Escargot vase is highly prized for its innovative combination of form, texture, and stylized natural motifs.
It was made probably in the early 20s. So this is a great example of a colored Art Deco Lalique vase, Escargot, a real nice one. And it happens to be a rare one too. Did you bring it today because you thought it might be valuable?
No, my dad just asked me to take it down. He said it could be anywhere from $500 to $5,000. He didn't have a clue, and I have no idea whatsoever.
Well, you can tell your dad it's worth a lot more than that. This Escargot today is worth probably at least $15,000.
Wow.
And it could be worth even a little more. 15 to 18,000 would be my guess on it. A fabulous piece. Great thing. I'm really glad you bought it.
That's good. Thank you.
Take care of it.
My husband gave this to me for Christmas, 1978. And he bought it as a Tiffany. And I was wonderfully happy until I started watching Roadshow. And this was not like any other Tiffany bowl. He went back to the same dealer that he bought it from. And she said, if I said it's a Tiffany, it's a Tiffany. In 1999, we went to Roadshow in Des Moines, and I took the bowl. And they confirmed that it is a Tiffany, 1894, 1895.
This bowl comes from the formative years of Louis Comfort Tiffany, a period when he was experimenting with new artistic techniques that would soon redefine American art glass. Tiffany founded the Tiffany Glass and Decorating Company in 1892, and by 1894 he was deeply engaged in developing the iridescent, organically shaped glass that would become his hallmark. Bowls from this early period often feature soft, free-form rims inspired by natural contours, while their gold, green, or blue iridescence was achieved through the incorporation of metallic oxides in the glass. What makes this example especially notable is its uncommon color, one rarely encountered in Tiffany's early work, as well as the fact that very few bowls of this type were produced, and only for a short time. Tiffany bowls from the 1890s represent the earliest phase of Favril glass and mark his transition from stained glass artistry toward free-blown decorative objects.
Oh, I'm so glad, because she said, well, that just shows you that those people on Roadshow don't know what they're talking about.
But we do.
You do.
And something that I very near and dear to my heart is Tiffany.
Oh.
And you're right, and we must have told you back then that it was made around 1894, 1895. And this coloration, you don't see this after 1900, and actually it's very prized by collectors. And it's a little esoteric, and yes, it doesn't look like the blue and the gold iridescent that is so recognizable, or the paperweight vases, or the jack in the pulpits, but this is very special. And they made it for a very short period of time. So I'm really happy you brought it back to us so we could tell you again. And in today's market, it's gone up since the last time you were here. It's now worth $4,000 to $5,000 in a retail shop.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Can I hug you?
Of course.
My father-in-law had bought it around 1928 in Chicago.
And did you use it over the years?
We used it up until around 1960.
The pond lily design reflects Louis Comfort Tiffany's fascination with aquatic plants and gardens. In this case, water lilies, celebrated for their delicate petals, broad floating leaves, and serene beauty, were transformed by Tiffany into three-dimensional lamps that bathe interiors in a gentle, natural glow. This particular lamp is distinguished by its 12 individual flower shades, crafted from Favrel glass, Tiffany's patented iridescent glass, in a warm, luminous orange. At the base, the lily pads cluster naturally around the stems that rise to support the glass shades, creating a lifelike, almost botanical representation of a pond in bloom. Equally remarkable is the lamp's patinated bronze construction, which retains its original finish, a rare survival among Tiffany's early works. Dating to circa 1915, this Tiffany Studios pond lily lamp remains one of the most coveted floral designs in the studio's oeuvre.
The shades, which are the most valuable part of the lamp, are all intact. What's happened with lily lamps is that it's been a very movable feast. The prices have sort of gone up and down and shot way up, but over the past couple years, I think they've reached a new plateau which people are very comfortable at buying them at, and I would value this lamp today between $30,000 and $40,000.
Amazing.